Sometimes you hate to admit a painful decision is the right decision. And that's where I am at with Larian's decision to abandon the likes of Karlach, Will, Shadowheart, and even His Majesty for more fiery pastures.
Hiss! I say hiss! This is my territory, and you're in it.
Because you see, courtesy of a little snippet interview from PC Gamer recently, we got confirmation of what has essentially already been known for years at this point. Ever since Larian walked away from making a DLC for Baldur's Gate 3 or making Baldur's Gate 4, they won't be using the Dungeons & Dragons rule set in their new game.
I mean, it's not a clone of those two. It's a new rule set, our own rule set, built on everything that we learned from all the previous games that we've done. So I think you're gonna enjoy it. It's very easy to learn, very hard to master, but it allows you to do fantastic things, which is the most important bit. And it truly, it's going to give you, in things like combat, it's going to really give you a really good time of figuring things out and how you can chain things to one another and come up with all kinds of shenanigans.
Terrific. And still turn-based?
Yes.
Okay, and similar party size to BG3?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I did think it was kind of funny that while PC Gamer titled the short Divinity is not using the D&D rule set and put it all over the thing, the rule set Sven actually name drops they won't be using isn't D&D. It's actually Divinity Original Sin 2 that they won't be using. Of course, the reading between the lines, though, is that they aren't using any of those rule sets, but rather picking and taking pieces from all of them, using similar party sizes, creating a new rule set, and making a turn-based game that will be easy to get into, but hard to master. Now I'm gonna drop the B-roll here and show my face for the first time in this video, but I need to warn you because I'm finally back in my office after 6 months of bouncing around different Airbnbs and hotels due to water damage that destroyed much of my house. So consider our office a work in progress. So be kind and be gentle, because things are still not on the walls, because things are still all over the floor. But at least you have a cat. That is Pippin, Lord of Second Breakfast. Hi, Pippin. It's getting there, though. Choosing black was certainly a choice for this wall. White for that one. But the floor is different. Change is scary. Hello, Pippin. There's Kitty. I'll have to get a cat cam. So we've known that these restrictions were an issue for Larian for a long time. There are articles talking about it going back even before Baldur's Gate 3 even launched. Or talking about it after, how it would be difficult to do an expansion for Baldur's Gate 3, especially because once you get to that little magic area of level 12, really just how shit goes off the rails and how things get kind of difficult because you get all these kind of crazy godlike powers, especially as you approach level 20 where you can kind of just do whatever the hell you want. Hell, there's even a whole PC Gamer article that I'll link down below that laments the absolute tragedies of spell slots and bards being just too arcane for the PhD-wielding academics on Larian's team. Perhaps that's why they turned Boiler into a bloody professor in the epilogue. If, anyway, you chose that ending and not this ending, you know, the shiny ending. But all that's to say, I have to kind of agree with them to a point, as much as it hurts to say that for one very big reason. Having recently played Divinity Original Sin 2 and Baldur's Gate 3 Honor Mode, I can feel the push and tug on both systems, the limitations and the freedom in each. There's something in Baldur's Gate 3 that feels more free, more open and accessible to someone like myself who has played Dungeons & Dragons around dingy little tables covered in Taco Bell dust and cheap alcohol since 3.5 until way too late in the night when the character voices get dodgy and the combat decisions are even worse. But then you hit the inevitable wall at level 12, usually about halfway through Act 3, if you're lucky, maybe sooner, and you're just left with this feeling that there should be more, at least in my experience. Sure, there's gear to be found, and the storytelling is infinitely compelling, but all that empty experience gain in the RPG crushes my soul just a little bit, especially when it seems to happen so soon, like the game has just run out of runway. a necessary cap due to the limitations of the system imposed by adapting D&D to prevent your characters from becoming gods. By taking back complete and utter creative control, Larian no longer has to worry about what happens at level 13 because, well, they can tell you what happens at level 13 now. They control that destiny. If they want level 13 to only have a spell that turns your enemy into cows, they can do that. It is entirely up to them, and I think therein lies the beauty of their decision, as hard as it may have been. Well, hard for us, not hard for Larian. The hard part is what gets left behind, because there is something that gets lost in the freedom for those of us who truly fell in love with the world crafted by Larian, specifically by Larian. Not just Baldur's Gate, which existed long before Larian ever got there, but the stories created and left unfinished, the threads yet unwoven. Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast have designs for a Baldur's Gate 4. What studio ends up taking the mantle is an open question, and we don't even know if that will take a decade or more before we see it. We know that some of the actors who portrayed some of our favorite characters are keen to return though. Some not just in that format of the game, but in other adaptations as well. So even if the game takes a long time to get here, even if the game is not what we had hoped it would be, so there may be other hopes for those stories beyond the turn-based mastery of a Larian-driven sequel, perhaps in the pages of comic books, of a novel, or in a new television series, dare we hope, or despair, however you feel about that. Because I know that can be divisive. But what we do know is that specific branch of what could have been is gone. It is dead. That decision, that work that Larian had begun, that continuation of those stories is no longer going to be. They'd started to work on Baldur's Gate, a continuation, only to find themselves too confined, too locked in to the rigors of a system and IP not their own. And as much as I hate to admit it, leaving that behind, leaving the characters that we came to really enjoy, leaving those stories behind, was the right decision, unfortunately.